rehearsing and nursing a part. We know every part by heart. Overture, curtain lights, this is it. We'll hit the heights, and oh, what heights we'll hit. On with the show, this is it.
Hey, we're back. I'm Goose.
I'm Logan.
This is On With The Show, and today we're going to do something we've done before, which is
Pretty
today's
much
show.
talk exclusively about Disney.
Disney's had quite a week.
Yeah, regarding earnings for Disney Plus, laying off 7,000 employees.
Some of it, a lot. The rumor is much of it's coming from their entertainment side, and we're going to talk about that because they've got problems.
Yeah.
They've got problems, and today's show is pretty much going to be almost exclusively talked about Disney because Disney's having a rough week. So let's get into the first topic. And again, a couple of days ago, Bob Iger had the earnings call
For quarter one.
And it was a mixed bag. Basically, what they're reporting is that the parks are doing well, so everything there is fine. They say ESPN is doing well, so they're not worried about that. But Disney Entertainment
is kind of drowning.
Yeah.
So that's the movies, Disney Plus, Disney Channel.
It's basically they're having issues over there, and it's not surprising they're having issues over there. I got a chance to see a really good video from my good friend Chris Provost from Provost Park Pass, who basically kind of broke this down, and he said that he broke it into three parts: the Disney parks, ESPN, and the Disney Entertainment. And Disney Entertainment also includes, of all things, Marvel and Star Wars and Pixar and all that other fun stuff that that they've put into that category. And so, they say the parks are doing well. People are going back to the parks. ESPN, is its own entity. It's doing really well. But man, the Disney Entertainment has been having
a rough time.
So let's kind of break this down. And we're going to, let's start with, let's go back a little bit because we're doing a little bit of history. So let's go back to Lightyear, where I think it pretty much kind of almost started. And I watched Lightyear. Have you had a chance to see Lightyear?
Not yet.
Not yet. And someone told me that it was actually a pretty good film. I was actually looking forward to seeing it. I did not get a chance to see it in theaters, but when it came out on Disney Plus, I'm like, I got to see this film, and I liked it.
Really?
I did. I liked it. I gave it a solid 85 out of 100. I thought the story was well done. I thought it was a nice origin story to Buzz Lightyear, and it was really very, very entertaining. The issue was with Lightyear wasn't with the same-sex kiss that everybody was making a big deal about. Because I don't really care about, I've never really cared about the same-sex kiss that was in Lightyear that lasted all of about 3 seconds. My issue with Lightyear is it was really poorly marketed.
Because it left a lot of people thought it was going to be about the toy, and so there was a lot of like, why don't you have Tim Allen? And then they were like, no, this is about the man behind the toy. This is the real Buzz Lightyear the toy was based on. And it's like,
which made no sense.
And it's like, you brought in Captain America, Chris Evans, to voice the real Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
So,
and then
the marketing has just left everybody confused. Like, what is this movie about?
What is this movie about? And that was it. You saw the trailer, and you're like, okay, what's this movie about? I don't get it. I don't understand it. And it was always, well, this is the origin story of the man behind the toy. Well, truthfully, if you watch Toy Story, there was no man behind the toy. It was the toy. Okay, well, and it's an origin story of Buzz Lightyear. Okay, we still don't get it. We don't understand, and they left. The thing about a trailer, it wants to give you just enough of
To
a
make
story.
you want to go see it.
Yeah, but not enough of the story to go, oh, I know all about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was its huge flaw. It gave us nothing about the movie. And truthfully, if I was in charge of marketing, I would have just basically have said, this is an origin story of Buzz Lightyear.
Mm-hmm.
And left it at that. I would not have sat there and tried to explain it. In the first, like, I guess maybe 30 seconds, it gives a little synopsis that Andy, as a kid, Andy went to see this movie and he loved it so much that he wanted the toy based on the character.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how are you going to explain that in the trailer? You can't. So you basically, and my thought process is, well, we all know who Superman is. We all know who Batman is. We all know who Spider-Man is. We all know that they came from the comics. Why not just like sit there and say, this is a movie based on Buzz Lightyear, and leave it at that?
Instead of leaving everybody confused about what it's really about, when you're like, no, Buzz Lightyear was a real astronaut.
Yeah.
And then he was so popular, they made a toy based on him.
Yeah. Let's fast forward to Thanksgiving weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And then
had Strange World.
Strange World.
Which also did not meet expectations.
Did not meet expectations at all. As a matter of fact, it's considered probably the worst film that Disney has put out for a holiday. And again, someone told me they saw it. They said it was really good. It was a lot better than they thought it was. And I was like, okay, well, it's on Disney Plus also, the big benefit of having Disney Plus. And I sat back and I watched it and I went, yeah, this movie's really entertaining. It has elements of Jules Verne, A Journey to the Center of the Earth. It has some environmental themes wrapped around it. It's one of these films that once you watch it, you're like, oh, this movie's actually pretty good. I gave it an 83 out of 100. I thought it was solid. It's the only, again, the two issues with Strange World. One is that it's not a spectacular film. It's not one that you would expect to have coming out during that season. And matter of fact, if I was running Disney, I would have had Strange World and Lightyear flip. I would have had Strange World come out in the summer and Lightyear come out during the holiday season.
And another interesting thing about why I think Strange World and Lightyear are so similar is that their failure was blamed on, there was a same-sex couple, an interracial couple, or like a disabled dog, or whatever it was. But in reality, the reason it failed was not because of any homophobia or anything like that. It was because the marketing
was horrible.
Did not do its job.
It was horrible. I have watched that trailer 3 times, and every time I watch that trailer, I have no idea what the movie is. I have no clue what the movie is.
So it's like, with a trailer like that, you've only got one type of person who's going to go see your movie, and that's a person who goes and sees every Disney movie.
Yeah.
It's not a trailer that catches the non-Disney fan's eye, that piques the average moviegoer's interest.
And it's a shame, because Strange World was actually pretty good. Again, the idea, and I actually think somebody in the when they were pitching this movie was like, hey, let's do a movie based on like Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth, but let's make it let's make it like on a separate planet, and let's have different people and have this family that's where the one dad is a famous explorer, but he has a son that's more like a botanist, and then he has another son that's kind of like wants to carve his own little path, and it's like, and I'm like, okay, that sounds interesting, that sounds good, but the trailer doesn't put any of those elements in there. It makes you, it's like, your dad was a famous explorer. Well, I'm not my dad. Well, it's like, well, we need your help you're all we have to be able to save the planet. And it's like, and I'm like, and then of course all the stuff that came out, which was like, that people made fun of, which was like checking off the woke boxes, was like interracial couple, same-sex couple. Oh,
Disability.
even the
characters.
dog was
handicapped.
Was handicapped. It's like we're like, okay, and watching that, none of that made a big deal to me. None of that made a big deal to me. I didn't really care. I was like, okay, this is fascinating. I like this. I've always thought that interracial couples don't get enough representation. And they did make, and a lot of the stuff that they did with Strange World wasn't an in-your-face kind of woke thing. And we're going to talk about that in a minute.
There, but it wasn't the main focus.
Wasn't the main focus. And I was like, okay, I like this. When something like that is done subtly, I like that. It's not an in-your-face thing. And for people to come out, and especially people at Disney, to come out and say, "Oh, the reason this movie didn't do so well is because of all the conservatives and the right wingers and the QAnon and all that," and I'm like, no, it had nothing to do with it. It had the fact that your marketing on this film sucked because
the homophobia. Well, I'm sure that would be a reason some wouldn't go see it.
I agree.
But I mean, the thing is, a lot of people on the right have already, disowned Disney for other things. So when you're already losing that and it still underperforms, you know that you're not even reaching your main audience.
You're not, and again,
I think going back to the homophobia, that's just a cheap cop out for a reason your movie failed.
Really, yeah, because, and again, your movies were good, but your marketing sucked, and so I think you need to go back to the drawing board and figure out, okay, we had a good idea here, we executed it pretty well, but nobody came to see it because nobody knew what our movie was about. So now let's fast forward to just, I think maybe about a week or so ago, and of course one of the things that was brought up during the earnings call is that Disney Plus lost 2.4 million subscribers. 2.4 million subscribers, okay? Which is something that actually happened about a year ago to Netflix. Netflix lost a giant chunk of their subscribership, and they had to pull back and figure out what it was. And what was the main reason why Netflix all of a sudden decided they were going to move forward? It was basically they decided they were going to stop doing a lot of the woke indoctrination programming that they were having put out there because it wasn't making them any money. You have, and then of course this week when Disney comes out with their earnings report saying, yeah, Disney Plus lost 2.4 million, I'm going to keep repeating this, 2.4 million subscribers. And one of their Disney Channel original shows that they've rebooted.
Oh, with the Proud family.
Louder and
Prouder.
Now has
Funny, there was a clip from the show that has been making the rounds online.
Yeah.
Or it was like something like the real history of slavery.
Yeah, the real history of America, where slaves built this country. This country was built by slaves, and and all the whole thing about slave, and we want our
reparations.
Our reparations, and we need to stop. We need to do white supremacy, and and it was like,
and it also raises the question of, who is this even for? The original Proud Family, that was a kid's cartoon. I remember watching it as a kid.
I remember,
but it's like this is for leftist adults. You're completely missing your target
audience. The Proud Family show, which again I remember watching it with you when it came out, and I was like, this is a really good show. This really shows a African American, middle class African American family working to make, and you had like 3 generations living in one house, and it was it looked like something that was like really, really nice, really cool. And then you come out with the Louder and Prouder, and you think, okay, this ought to be good. And then you come out with this woke stuff. There was even, I don't know if it was in the same episode or a different episode, where it said that Abraham Lincoln didn't end slavery.
I didn't see anything about that.
I saw something about that where they were talking about how Lincoln actually wanted to keep slaves, And I'm like, yeah, the dude that had the Emancipation Proclamation, who freed slaves and was championed, I think, the 14th Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he actually wanted to keep slavery. And then you have all of this crap about slaves built this country, and how, you know, the one white girl that they have in there talks about her white supremacy, and it's like, you wonder why you're losing 2.4 million subscribers.
Because you're using kids' cartoons as a soapbox political medium,
Yeah.
I guess, where you're forcing your opinions down the throats of people who they just want to watch a cartoon. They don't want to be told, you're bad, you owe reparations.
Exactly. I think this is.
It's like, can I just watch Oscar be a goofball again?
Yeah.
Not get a political lecture about the descendants of slaves deserve reparations.
Yeah.
That's not why we're watching
That's
the
not
Proud
why we're
Family.
watching the Proud Family.
If we want to watch something like that, we go to, I don't know, something else.
Yeah, it's, you know, they totally, and I think we talked about this yesterday, where they totally miss their target audience with their, which is it's kids. It's kids, but they did a show that was entirely directed toward adults. And here's the thing, let me just make this perfectly clear to Disney, because Netflix had to figure this out, and that is that the programming for this stuff is a real minute, very small portion of society. The only reason people pay attention to them is because they yell the loudest. They make the most noise. And it doesn't give you a very good optics for this. It only shows people out there who are, what we like to say, true Disney fans. Look what they're trying to do. This isn't what we wanted. This isn't what Walt Disney would be rolling in his grave for this. So, I think truthfully, Bob Iger needs to go to the people running the original programming for Disney Plus and say, we need something that will draw people in, not
Drive people
people away. And even he might have to come to the tough decision of saying, look, no more of this woke,
No more
of this stuff, because
political garbage.
yeah, because
in the cartoons.
I watch Disney Plus for the movies, for a lot of the classic films. You know, I watch it to see a lot of the original Marvel programming. I know Loki 2 is about ready to come out. They just put Black Panther: Wakanda Forever on there. I'm excited to be able to see that this weekend. I love watching the Star Wars stuff, like the Bad Batch and Kenobi. And but, you know, I don't. And you know what's interesting is none of that programming has this kind of political stuff on it.
And that's why people like it.
That's why people like it. They love. I just watched a program. I watched a show about Gen X. That was done back, I think, in 2016. I'm like, oh, this is about Gen X. It's about my generation. And it was one from Nat Geo. I watched a really, really old, what is it? Walt Disney Presents World of Color, which talked about the seasons of Disneyland. I mean, super old programming. I mean, just really, really cool. You know, to see what it was like to be in Disneyland back in 1960 something. You know, 3 or something, which, you know, having these weird ass parades that they were putting on.
Yeah.
But, and I know this segment went a little long, but it's like, you know,
Disney needs to go back to, I don't know, its roots, I guess.
And
they need to fix the marketing problem. They need to market their movies better.
Yeah.
And that's because two movies in a row majorly flopping, as well as inserting political garbage into your cartoons, which is, you're not earning as much on movies, you're not earning as much on streaming. They need to stop for a second, take a look, and just make a change.
You're in the entertainment business. Let's just be totally honest. You're in the entertainment business. You need to entertain. The crazy part is, I think he went to the Disney entertainment and he says, oh, we need a hit. What are we going to get? We need a hit. And of course they announced what they announced. Toy Story 5,
All
Zootopia
sequels.
2, Inside Out 2, Frozen 3. What are they going to do for Frozen 3? I mean,
all I see is it's creative bankruptcy.
I mean, it just
Because first thing first, Toy Story 4 was great. It should not have been made. Toy Story 3 ended on a perfect note, and here they are coming out with Toy Story 5? It's pathetic.
I don't know how
It shows a complete lack of creativity, and that you're going to make sequel after sequel after sequel.
And let us just just really quickly run through this. You had Raya and the Last Dragon, a great film, a very original film, which was based on a lot of folklore from
East Asia cultures.
You had Meet the Robinsons, which was like which was a something from a book.
It was a kid's book.
From a kid's book that did really well. I even liked Bolt. I thought Bolt was a cute little film.
But I mean, the thing is, I'm not completely against sequels, but when it's done with the specific purpose as a cash grab, because when it's done not to further the story as sequels should, it's just blatantly obvious. This is just a cash grab, and it's, as I said, pathetic.
So we're hoping that yes, run through your sequels if you want to, because we know. I mean, they're going to be a guaranteed success. Somebody said, Woody and Buzz sitting down at the table reading the phone book would like be an instant hit.
Yeah.
Because it would be, because we love these characters. But you are a company that you take things you bring us original content. That we love, and we just want you to get back to doing. We want you to entertain us again. I mean, the idea again of Strange World being something of like Journey Through the Center of the Earth. I'm like, that was a great idea, and that's exactly what I got out of it. It looked great, but you marketed it really poorly. You got to get back to becoming an entertainment company again, and not a political company again, because you know exactly what happens when you try to do that.
Overture, cut the lights. This is it, the night of nights. No more rehearsing and nursing a part. We know every part